talking real loud, spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us, how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us, how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us, how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Can you all hear me now? Once in the chat if you all can hear me. You all still can't hear anything that I'm saying? Okay, you can hear me. Okay, I'm like, what in the world? I'm just running my mouth. Okay, so I apologize, you guys. Oh, I was having technical difficulties. I don't know what was going on with my microphone. Okay, so sorry about that. And I'm just talking. Okay, so let me just start over. Okay, I may have to edit that out of the video. Okay, so anyway, sorry about that. Okay, so now what I was saying was on yesterday or last night, I talked about Shedeur Sanders being pranked. And then we find out that it was Jeff Ulbrich, his son Jackson, okay, who in fact was the one who made the prank call. Now, Jeff Ulbrich, the father, who's actually one of the coaches, right? He actually came out and apologized. Okay, so here's what they're saying. The son of Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich has apologized for a prank call made to Shedeur Sanders on Friday as he waited to be picked in the NFL draft. Originally one of the NFL's most touted draft prospects, Sanders received a call allegedly from the general manager of the New Orleans Saints as he awaited anxiously to learn which NFL team would select him, but the call turned out to be a prank. Jax Ulbrich, the Falcons coach's son, took to Instagram on Sunday to issue an apology. Excuse me, saying that on Friday night, I made a tremendous mistake. Okay, we already know that because I told you I would have said last night, but here's the bottom line. Now, last night, yes, he's definitely a hater, Pearly. Now, here's the thing. So last night, I told you all that the young man needed to be punished, okay? He needed to be punished. And that, you know, I wasn't sure if whether or not his father needed to be punished because I felt like he was probably sneaking in his father's things, trying to be, you know, slick. And I was thinking that maybe he's a teenager, but they say this dude is 21 years old. This is a whole grown man. 21 years old is what I heard he is. And then also, here's the thing. His father does need consequences because, for one, how do we know that his father didn't actually just give him the number and his father wasn't in on it? We don't know that. And why should we give his father the benefit of the doubt? Because I guarantee you, if it was a coach who looked like me and their son did something so nefarious, there would be consequences. They wouldn't let it just slide. They wouldn't just sweep it under the rug. Okay? Oh, most hated bronze flat power God said, and he deleted his IG. Really? Okay, but see, here's the thing. Here's another thing. First of all, the son lied. He said that he unintentionally found it. Okay, so here's how you know that's all cap. First of all, if you unintentionally found it, first of all, why were you in your father's tablet meddling? That's for number one, if you even had found it. But the bottom line is, if you stumbled across it, why would you not only write it down, but then give it to your friend so y'all can make a prank call? Because do you all know that this devil, he didn't even make the call. That was his friend. Remember when I showed you the video? It was a guy with like sandy blonde hair. Okay, that's not this dude. Okay, that was his friend. So he got the number, got with his little friends, called it, and then told his friend to do the prank. But here's something else too. So also come to find out, the number that he got that belongs to Shedeur Sanders was a number that was only for him to be contacted about the draft pick. So it wasn't his regular phone number. It was a specific number that they got. Now, how did he get that? Okay? Because first of all, this dude's father, Jeff, he's not even the one that's supposed to be calling recruits. So the question is, why did he even have Shedeur Sanders' number? Okay, because the number was supposed to have been given to like general managers, people that were higher up, the ones that make the actual calls to let you know if they're looking at you, if you're going to be drafted. So really, my question is now, how in the hell did the father get the number? Why does he even have it in the first place? That's not his position to be calling these people. So I find all of this interesting, and yes, he needs to be fired. And here's another thing too. This has happened before. And the reason that it continues to happen, in my opinion, is because nobody's getting any consequences. Now listen to this. Several draft picks have been pranked before and during the NFL draft. Now in 2025 in the NFL draft, Shedeur Sanders, Tyler Warren, and at least one other prospect received prank calls. A previous example is Cooper DeJean, who was pranked before being drafted by the Eagles in 2024. During the 2025 draft, Shedeur Sanders received a prank call claiming he was picked for the New Orleans Saints before he was selected for the by the Cleveland Browns. Tyler Warren, a tight end drafted by the Colts, also received a fake call during his draft wait. Additionally, at least one other prospect was pranked 30 minutes after being drafted, according to a league source. And they say in 2024, defensive back Cooper DeJean was also pranked before he was drafted by the Eagles in the second round. So these are some idiotic people, because none of this is funny or cute at the end of the day. And then when you're doing stuff like that, suppose a person doesn't get picked at all. Okay, how devastating can that be? But these are nothing more, in my opinion, than a bunch of haters. Okay, that's all that is. People that are just haters. Okay, so with that all being said, Terrion says they are never accountable or held either. The foolishness will outweigh this kid's success. They're throwing boulders by the race as always. Yes, absolutely. And let me say this. You all know what I was thinking about last night. Hold on. Who was the number one draft pick in 2025? Who was the number one draft pick in 2025? Who was it? Hold on. The Tennessee Titans were awarded the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft. They selected Miami Hurricanes quarterback Cam Ward as the first overall pick. Well, here's the funny thing. Nobody's even talking about Cam Ward. Nobody's even talking about this person. Okay? Nobody's talking about him at all. Nobody is talking about the number one draft pick, Cam Ward, okay, for the Tennessee Titans. You know why nobody's talking about him? I'm so glad you asked. Because everybody is fixated on Shedeur Sanders. Sierra said they aren't even talking about Cam like that. That's my point. They're not talking about him, and he's the number one draft pick. So out of all the hating that they've done on Shedeur Sanders to try to act like he wasn't all of that, because they're upset because he thinks highly of himself, and he came in there and pretty much just laid it on the line and made his demands, told him what he was going to do and what he wasn't going to do. What's wrong with that? Isn't that what grown men do? Isn't that what adults do? You let people know what you will and won't put up with? What's the problem? I bet you that wouldn't be a problem if they do it. It never is it? Okay? But they have something against Deion Sanders, and they're taking it out on Shedeur because, as they can see, Deion has taught them well, because both of them, Shiloh and Shedeur, carried themselves just like their father. Okay? So I guess they felt like they were teaching him a lesson. But the funny thing is, out of all the hate that they've done, they have just made him more popular because everybody is talking about Shedeur. He's been trending, okay, for days, all right? Everybody's doing stories about him. Nobody's saying anything about the young man who was actually the first round draft pick, okay? So I'm sorry. It looks like they're hating. Really didn't do as much damage as they had hoped, okay? Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, I want you all to see how dangerous AI is. Okay, I want you all to see just how dangerous AI is. This is really scary. Hold on, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here we go. Now, this is supposed to be Shedeur Sanders doing his first interview after the draft. Okay, I'm going to put an overlay on this. Well, I'm not going to put an overlay because I want you all to really see how creepy it looks and how real it looks. So what I'll do is I'll add some music, because I don't need any copyright issues. Okay. And then I know what I'll do. I'd add an overlay that still allows. Okay, there.
the Cleveland Browns and the GM Andrew Berry for drafting me and giving me an opportunity to fulfill my dreams of playing in the NFL. But I'm going to have to decline this draft pick because they drafted Dylan Gabriel before me, and I will not be embarrassed like that. I'm not some third or fourth string quarterback you can just bring in to be made fun of. Not to mention Cleveland is a boring-ass city, as everyone knows. Even their own LeBron Diddy James left that city to go to Los Angeles. So, yeah, I declined my selection because I want to be drafted by another team that plays in a good city like Los Angeles, Miami, or New York. I thrive under the bright lights, and everyone knows the street lights don't even work in Cleveland. So thank you to Cleveland for drafting me, but better luck next time. Prime time Shedeur ain't made for that city.
Okay, I am so done. I am so done. Okay, do they not have anything else to do? Okay, these people are something else. Something else. Now, with that all being said, okay, let's get into Diddy, and then we got to talk about Trump. So let's go ahead and get Diddy out of the way. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Let me take this off the screen. Okay, so the diddler, as we all know, he's going to be heading to trial soon. Jury selection starts May the 5th. The trial and opening statements start on May the 12th. With that all being said, Diddy is hoping his best, praying, okay, with both fists clutched, that he gets an impartial jury, okay? Now, I read to you on the other day, I think it was Friday or Saturday, one of those days, I told you all about the questions that they had come up with for the potential jurors. So now here's what they say. Sean Diddy Combs' lawyers seek impartial jurors amid intense media coverage. Okay, and see, this is what I told you all. It's going to be a hard job finding impartial jurors because everybody has likely heard about this story. It is a global story. And especially in today's age of social media, people from all different countries and everywhere hears about these things. Okay, so anyway, for the past year and a half, allegations of sexual misconduct against rapper Sean Diddy Combs have attracted widespread media attention, including several documentaries and podcasts, sullying the reputation of the mogul, once known for his rags to riches life story and for elevating hip-hop in American culture. First of all, Diddy has never been in rags, okay? Diddy came from a nice upbringing, not rags to riches. Honey, I don't know why some of these celebrities get rich and famous and then try to act like they were just so broke and came from such a meager means. Please sit down somewhere. Then when somebody who was really struggling actually blows up, nobody wants to believe them. So on Monday, with his criminal trial on trafficking charges just weeks away, Combs' lawyer will start their search for jurors who have not yet made up their minds about the artist and entrepreneur once known as Puff Daddy. Hundreds of New York residents who have been summoned for jury duty will arrive at the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan this week to fill out questionnaires asking them what they already know about the case. Now, it is the first step towards seating a panel of 12 jurors and 6 alternates that will determine Combs' fate after a trial expected to last at least 10 weeks. While the judge and lawyers for both sides will know the jurors' names, their identities will not be disclosed to the public. Anonymous juries are not the default in the U.S. criminal justice system, but they are frequently used in high-profile trials to protect jurors from potential harassment or threats. Combs is accused of forcing women to take part in elaborate sexual performances with male workers called freak-offs over 2 decades. He has pleaded not guilty, and his lawyers have argued that the acts prosecutors described were consensual. Combs has been in the public eye for decades and is known for founding Bad Boy Records, turning musical artists such as Notorious B.I.G. and Usher into stars, and living a lavish lifestyle befitting a celebrity whose net worth Forbes estimated at more than $1 billion in 2022. His downfall since he was indicted last September has been widely documented, including in several documentaries and podcasts, such as the Max miniseries, The Fall of Diddy, and the Daily Mail's podcast, The Trial of Diddy. Now, the media saturation could leave many prospective jurors with the impression that he is likely guilty. Now, this is what Christina Marinakis, a jury consultant, said, saying that as a defense side, You're really wanting to get jurors that have not heard anything about the case or know very, very little about it. So they come in with a truly blank slate. Okay, this is what she said. She's also the CEO of Immersion Legal Jury. Okay, well, that's not going to happen because who hasn't heard about this thing with Diddy? Okay, who hasn't heard about it? And specifically the people in New York. Now they talk about voir dire again. Okay, we talked about this the other day. Now, after prospective jurors fill out questionnaires, defense lawyers and prosecutors will submit a list to U.S. District Judge Aaron Subramanian. Well, they've already done that. I already read you all the questions. There was 30 plus questions, if I'm not mistaken. And so then the two sides agree, and they should move forward in the selection process, now, as well as who should be excused and those about whom they cannot agree. The judge may hold a hearing to resolve any disputes. Starting May the 5th, Subramanian will question the remaining prospective jurors in person, a process known as voir dire, designed to elicit signs of potential bias. Subramanian will discuss or will dismiss those that he finds would not be suitable to be fair and impartial. Now, the prosecution and the defense will be able to then dismiss a limited number of jurors without articulating a reason. You know, this is known as preemptory strikes. So they don't have to explain to them why they're getting rid of them. Now, with that all being said, the process is, of course, it's not foolproof. British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell unsuccessfully sought to have her sex trafficking conviction overturned after a juror who had checked no when asked in a pretrial questionnaire whether she had been a victim of sexual abuse. Okay, and that was said in media interviews after the trial, that he had been abused as a child. So he lied on the questionnaire. Both the defense lawyers and the prosecutors are likely to review prospective jurors' social media accounts to see if they have expressed opinions about the case or on other matters that could indicate bias. Now, Zachary Margulis Numa, a New York-based defense attorney, says that Combs' panel would likely consist ultimately of people without firm convictions about issues of consent and sexual abuse. Now, one side or the other will figure out a way to get rid of the ones who do have strong opinions. Okay, see, they don't want anybody who's got strong opinions about that sort of stuff because they already feel like, okay, you're definitely going to be biased. Okay, and that's why I told you all how it all goes. They definitely don't want anyone who has ever been abused, anyone who's ever suffered from domestic violence. Okay, anyone who is a counselor who works with these people who have suffered trauma or domestic violence or illegal substances or sexual violence or any of those things. They don't want any of those people to be potential to be jurors. Okay, so they're going to try, and that's why their questions, like those of you, if you missed the questions that I read to you and how I went through explaining why they were asking certain questions, please go back and check that video. I think I did it Friday or Saturday. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's talk about y'all's president, honey. President Trump. Oh my goodness. First of all, I should start off by letting you all know, and also if you missed the video from last night, please check that one out as well. Okay, but I should start off by letting you all know that they say Trump fell asleep, honey, at the Pope's funeral. Y'all told me this last night in the chat. So you know I had to go find the video. This is all nefarious. Trump is not hitting on Ish, okay? Do y'all hear me? I know that is not Hundia in my chat. The long lost Hundia. Hey, beloved. Okay, that's my moderator, Hundia. She's always working, so we hardly ever see her. All right, Terrion said, yes, he did in a blue suit. Yes, honey. And let me tell you something about that blue suit, Terrion. I'm so glad you brought that up, beloved, because that blue suit was totally off dress code. They said that, in fact, Trump was the only one who defied the dress code. Now, what I want to know is why the people who don't look like me are not going in on him. Because don't you all remember how that time Barack Obama, and yes, I said Obama, wore that tan suit? And they were going in on him, saying, oh, he doesn't look presidential. Oh, that suit's ugly. And they were just going hard in the paint. There was nothing ugly about the suit, but they just had a reason, wanted to have any reason to go in on Obama. But nobody said anything about Trump's arse sitting up there in a blue suit, completely going against the dress code, honey. Okay, let's get into it, honey, because this is all hilarious. Okay. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Here we go.
On Saturday, April 26, US President Donald Trump attended the funeral of Pope Francis in St. Peter's Square, marking a significant moment on the world stage as over 50 world leaders gathered to pay their respects. Accompanied by First Lady Melania Trump, President Trump took his place in the front row, seated beside Estonian President Aldar Karis and near French President Emmanuel Macron. The service was held on a clear morning with dignitaries from around the world in attendance. However, it was a photo of Trump from the funeral which quickly went viral. In this image, President Trump, sitting next to Melania, appeared to have his eyes closed and his face down, prompting speculations that he might have fallen asleep during the service. Social media exploded with commentary as users humorously speculated about the president's apparent slumber. Many shared the image, claiming that Trump had dozed off during the solemn occasion, while the social media speculation continues. There's no official report confirming that President Trump fell asleep. However, the moment has certainly captured the attention of many across the globe. President Trump wasn't the only notable figure in attendance. French President Emmanuel Macron, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, and Argentina's President Javier Milei, among others, were also present, gathering to honor the late Pope. What do you think? Did President Trump fall asleep at Pope Francis' funeral, or is it just a viral misunderstanding? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
Talking about a darn viral misunderstanding. Honey, Trump was sitting up there snoring, honey. Okay? Terry, I said drooling and farting. Okay, that's what he looked like. Trump was knocked out, honey. He was asleep like he was laying on a pillow, honey. Pay attention. This is all so crazy. Winnie T said Trump is a donkey. And then why would he wear a blue suit? I mean, of all times, okay? Wearing a blue suit, he is so ridiculous. But anyway, he's about to have everybody out here starving. Please pay attention. Trump is out here driving us into a economic decline, okay, and still out here lying. I don't know why this man just feels the need to lie so much. It's really sickening. I mean, I have never, other than a little kid, seen anybody just tell such nefarious lies. Straight to your face. Straight to your face, because one thing that Trump does is he'll sit there and he keeps giving you deadlines for stuff and knowing he's lying the whole time. You know what I say about people who do stuff like that? People who sit there and when you ask them something and you want specifics and they just keep putting it off, gaslighting and deflecting and say, 2 more weeks. That's all it's going to take, 2 more weeks. This is what he always says. Everything's going to happen in 2 more weeks, Trump, your lying self. And then it never happens. Okay, what about all those lies that he told us before the election? Okay, talking about how he was going to end the war in Ukraine and Russia. Didn't he say he was going to end that war as soon as he got in there? Matter of fact, he said 24 hours of peace. That's what he said. He said it's going to be 24 hours. Within 24 hours, there's going to be peace. There's going to be peace in Ukraine. There's going to be peace in Russia. Because I know Zelenskyy and I know Putin. Okay, just lying to be lying. All right. So anyway, honey, I just find it also interesting. But here's the sad news for us. Okay. So do you all know that the ports, okay, have not left China to head for the U.S.? Okay. Please pay attention. Yeah. The ports are supposedly stuck in China. Okay. In Shanghai somewhere. They're not even heading towards the United States. Okay. Trade's going everywhere but to the United States. Please pay attention. And guess what? The ports in the U.S. are empty, specifically the ones out in California. Okay, they're empty. So what does that mean for us? Well, you know what? In the next month or so, we're gonna be out of food. Okay, it's gonna be pretty bad. Okay, I'm about to tell y'all now. Now let's get into it. I'm gonna share my screen. Like sub, everyone, please like and share. I've been telling y'all to stock up. Y'all should be well prepared, honey. I've been telling y'all forever.
Turn now to President Trump's trade war and confusion over whether the U.S. and China are actually in talks over the back and forth tariffs. ABC's Selena Wang is at the White House with the latest. Selena, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Whit. President Trump is claiming that he's made 200 trade deals, but there are fewer than 200 countries in the world, and the president isn't giving any details about those deals or what countries are involved. So the bottom line, guys, is that not a single trade deal has been announced. And as you mentioned, Whit, when it comes to the U.S.-China trade war, there's no clear end in sight, and it's not even clear if negotiations are even happening. So President Trump, for days now, he's been saying that there are these active talks between the U.S. and China on tariffs. But Beijing, they're flat out denying that, calling it fake news. China's foreign ministry says the countries have not consulted or negotiated on tariffs, adding that the United States should not confuse the public. The president also claims that he's spoken to Chinese leader Xi Jinping numerous times, but the president is not saying when. So when it comes to tariffs, still a lot of confusion out there for both businesses and consumers, Whit.
And Selena, as far as the impact here, some popular e-commerce sites are already starting to raise prices because of the tariffs.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the ultra cheap clothes and goods that you can get from Shein and Temu, well, they're getting more expensive. Starting yesterday, the Chinese e-commerce retailers began hiking prices. It's unclear how much those prices are increasing by, but the companies say they have to do it because of changes to global trading rules and because of tariffs. Many goods from China are now taxed at a steep 145%, and President Trump is changing global trading rules. He is closing a trading loophole that allows goods valued under $800 to come into the U.S. for free. So both of those changes are major hits to the business models of both Shein and Temu. Guys?
Selena Wang, thank you.
The best way to attract high
Okay, so you all heard that. Trump is nothing but a damn fool. And all he's doing is sitting up here lying, acting like everything's all peaches and cream. Okay, let's go to this next report because I absolutely cannot with him. I mean, he just sits up there and lies straight to our faces. And then you heard what China said, that they need to stop, basically lying to the American people. Okay, just giving all this wrong information. Trump himself is fake news. Okay, funny how he used to talk about the media, but now he's the fake news. Pay attention.
Out of President Trump's tariffs and what he said late today about his 145% tariffs on Chinese goods coming into the U.S. And tonight, the president telling Time magazine he would not call President Xi first, but indicated President Xi has reached out to him. And President Trump now claiming to have made 200 trade deals already, but the White House providing no proof. Here's Mary Bruce.
Tonight.
Now I want you all to pay attention. Do y'all hear this lie that this fool done sat up here and told? Now, do you all remember when Trump told this lie that he has made 200 deals? Okay, and then act like he's been talking to China and all this, that, and the third. I mean, the lies just never end with this man.
President Trump declaring he will not roll back his staggering 145% tariffs on all Chinese products entering the U.S. unless China agrees to substantial concessions.
Well, I'm not going to drop them unless they give us something that's, substantial. Otherwise, I'm not going to drop them.
But it's not clear what concessions would be enough. And at this point, it's also unclear whether the U.S. and China are even negotiating. The president insists they are, telling Time magazine in a new interview that Chinese President Xi Jinping personally reached out to him. Trump said that after Time asked if he would be willing to make the first call. Will you call President Xi if he doesn't call you? They asked. No, Trump said. You won't? Nope. Time then asking, has he called you yet? Yep. And I don't think that's a sign of weakness on his behalf. This, though China insists, quote, China and the United States have not consulted or negotiated on the tariff issue. The United States should not confuse the public. Today, ABC's Rachel Scott asking the president.
You said that you have spoken to President Xi. When did that happen? China says it hasn't happened.
I spoke to him numerous times.
But Trump pressed, when did those calls happen? Were they after Trump put in place his tariffs on China?
Have you spoken to him since the tariffs? When did you last
I don't want to comment on that, but I've spoken to him many times.
Trump is eager to prove his trade policies are paying off. He told Time magazine he has already made 200 deals, though he wouldn't say what they were or which countries are involved. But the bottom line, the White House has not announced a single deal yet. And this all comes as the president is now preparing to mark his first 100 days in office. Our new ABC News Washington Post Ipsos poll showing just 34% approve of his handling of tariffs, with 64% disapproving. And 7 in 10 Americans say Trump's tariffs will drive up inflation. David.
Mary Bruce live at the White House on a Friday night for us. Mary, thank you.
This is y'all's president, honey. I mean, just the lying of it out. Did y'all hear that? Now, he done sat up there and said he spoke to China, trying to act like that man called him first. He knows darn well Xi Jinping didn't call him first. And then going to sit up there and say he doesn't look at that as a sign of weakness because he called me first. See, that's why he's sitting there saying he's not going to call him. Trump is such a narcissist and so idiotic, okay? At the end of the day, why would you sit there and lie and say you had plenty of talks with them when they're saying these discussions never even occurred, fool? Does he think that we're going to take his word over theirs? I mean, because I'm definitely not, okay? Absolutely not. Now, let's talk about these empty shelves, okay? Let's talk about it. And you see, beloveds, this is why I have been telling you all constantly, consistently, and I know I probably got on even some of y'all's nerves. But you see, this is why I have been telling you all since Thanksgiving Day of 2020. Okay, to have your lifelines, to follow your lifelines, have your non-perishable food items, stocking up on those, stocking up on water. You should be buying water every time you go to the store. You should have your medical supplies, first aid kits, okay, flashlights, generators, okay, everything. Finding out who you can barter with for things you don't have. All right, that's what we all need to be doing. Okay, please pay attention. I hope y'all are already stocked up, because if I've been telling y'all this is literally 5 years I've been telling y'all this. Okay, expect anything to happen to the power grid. Okay, at the end of the day, may not be able to be on the internet. Okay, all kinds of things. So it's better to get ready or to be ready so you don't have to get ready. Okay, now let's talk about these empty shelves. I'm going to share my screen. FBA Justice says Trump will be 82 by 2028. I'll say bye to him now. He'll be asleep for the next 3.5 years. Trouble ahead. Okay, not asleep, beloved. Okay, but you know what? Here's the interesting thing. Speaking of 2028, they're already making these ugly arse MAGA hats with 2028. Trump really thinks that he's going to run again. He's trying to find any loophole that he can. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. Hey, this man needs to get the hell up out of here before this election, before this 4 years is even over with. I can't take 4 years of Trump. They need to walk him up out of there in handcuffs and take him where he belongs, honey. And we all know where that is, okay? But anyway, let's talk about it, okay? Thank you, FBA Justice, for your insight into the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, here we go. This is all bad. Pay attention.
Sentiment plummeting to one of the lowest levels on record amid a fierce trade war. Retailers are warning of empty shelves reminiscent of the pandemic, with the 145% tariff on nearly all Chinese imports in place. Yesterday, President Trump said he's ready to make a deal with President Xi.
Have you spoken to him since the tariffs? When did you last?
I don't want to comment on that, but I've spoken to him many times.
When did that happen and what did you discuss?
I'll let you know at the appropriate time. Let's see if we can make a deal.
Meantime, major ports like the Port of Los Angeles are seeing a steep drop in
Y'all hear his line behind self sitting there talking about I'll discuss it at the appropriate time. You don't have an appropriate time because you're lying, okay? Hadn't spoken to that darn man at all. This is darn shame. This is y'all's president, though, honey.
Imports from China. And joining me now, we have Lorianne LaRocco, global supply chain reporter for CNBC Business News. Lori is also the author of the book Trade War, Containers Don't Lie, Navigating the Bluster. Lori, big welcome to you. So when it comes to the prospect of empty store shelves, which products could be hit hardest, and should consumers be worried? I mean, are you seeing a rush to buy certain things right now?
We really shouldn't see a rush because we actually have the items in. It's going to hit us in waves, Alex. And this is what we're going to kind of see with the timeline. Starting in June, this is where you're going to start seeing, those items that we love to get really cheap online. Those are the items that are going to get hit first. And those are like the fast fashion, products we might get on Amazon. And the reason why is that smaller businesses, they can't afford to have front loaded, right, all of these items in to beef up their inventory. Then starting in July, this is critical because this is the back to school time, right, where parents are going into the stores to get their kids their school clothes. So you're looking at backpacks, you're looking at notebooks, you're going to be looking at all of these items that some have been brought in, but there has been a major pause when you're looking at the amount of items that have been brought in, and people are just really uncertain, if you will. Is it going to consumer going to buy? We have seen the pullback on a multitude of different economic indicators in terms of that hesitancy. And without really any definitive acknowledgement of what's going on, we're going to see this pullback. And then in addition to the fast fashion and the school clothes, also electronics, because of the connectivity, right, of the inventory of the supply chain.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that in 1 second. But let me ask, because you're saying basically we have until June, that the supply is there as of now. Does that apply to the car industry? Because we reported people are rushing out to buy cars or renew leases or whatever they need to do.
Yeah, it really depends on the item. I mean, when it comes to the autos, Alex, it's those tariffs that have already been slapped. And so people are trying to get in there, right? Let's get that car that's out in the lot now before another one has to come in that will be more expensive. So that's why you're seeing that rush for the bigger ticket items.
Okay, so it's about the bottom dollar there. So we learned yesterday that China exempted some U.S.-made microchips from tariffs. Does this indicate that China is backing down on some level?
I really don't think so, Alex. I mean, it shows that there's a willingness, right, of the cooperation. But as we have seen with the prior trade war that's still in existence, there is so much rhetoric. And because of this conflicting comments between Trump and the Chinese officials about if a deal is happening, we're going to just continue to be in this push and pause, if you will, of do we make more things? Do we hold off? What do we do? So I'm kind of hesitant to see that this is like a victory, if anything, for Trump.
Well, walk us through what is happening at our West Coast ports. I mean, how much of a drop in shipments from Asia are they experiencing?
We are seeing a massive, massive drop, Alex.
Wow.
You are looking at a 44% decrease in vessels year over year coming in. And what's really key here, Alex, are the people that move the containers. You need people to move trade. If you have 40% less containers coming in, that is going to impact the people that are the truckers, the railroads, the warehousing. This is more than just us consuming and us bringing in orders. There's an entire supply chain here that is connected to jobs. And so the longer this goes, Alex, we're going to see some significant impact here in terms of employment. In fact, the Port of Oakland, which is a huge port that relies on both imports and exports, are very, very balanced. They've got a 50-50 split. They already started warning on Friday about the detriment when it comes to jobs and the exposure with this.
As you well know, Lorianne, we have seen this week the CEOs of the nation's top retail stores meeting with President Trump and warning the tariffs could no doubt lead to these shortages. Even if a deal is reached soon, are we in for at least some troubling times ahead?
I believe we are. And the reason why is that trade takes time to move, and you also have to order it. The fact that we've had a pause in all of these manufacturing plants. I have had sources tell me in China that there are factories that have literally shut down because they're not making any products for the United States. So if you think about it, remember with COVID, everything shut down and then everything ramped back up. And so what happens is once you hit that unpause button, it's going to be that rush to make the materials and then get the product on the vessels and back here, which causes congestion and raises freight prices.
All right, you guys, tough times ahead. Everybody better be on their P's and Q's, okay, and be getting everything together and prepared, honey, because it's about to get real rough out here in these streets. All right, but let's talk about it because, honey, you all know that I told you all how Trump was engaged in a back and forth with Harvard, and now Harvard is suing him, okay, suing the government supposedly about their funding. But so now he's come out and signed this executive order that's, targeting colleges. Okay, so let's get into it. Trump is low down and dirty. And then we got to talk about him and Zelensky's meeting at the Vatican. Matter of fact, let's talk about that first. Let's talk about him and Zelensky's meeting at the Vatican, because we all know that the last time he met with Zelensky, it didn't go so well. He chewed that poor man up and spit him out and didn't even feed him anything, not even a Big Mac, honey. Please pay attention. Kicked him out of the White House without so much as a drink of water, honey.
Ukrainian President Zelenskyy had a meeting before the funeral began this morning. We have some brand new photos from that encounter that are showing them to you on the left-hand side of your screen. They are really startling images. The White House describes the meeting as, quote, a very productive discussion. We don't know many details about actually what the tone and tenor of it was. Another photo shows Trump and Zelenskyy speaking with France's President Emmanuel Macron, as well as the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Zelenskyy had previously expressed he would be willing to meet with President Trump when both leaders would be in Italy. However, President Trump would not share with reporters if he planned to do so. This morning's meeting is the first time the two leaders have come face to face since that February Oval Office meeting where Trump berated Zelenskyy for not demonstrating enough gratitude for American support in their Ukraine war. But Clarissa, I mean, these images are extraordinary.
Sitting on these chairs in the Basilica, and what a fitting tribute to the legacy of Pope Francis, who was so passionate about peace, about ending conflict, given the fractious nature of the relationship.
Okay, you all hear that? They're acting like Trump is just, like a gift from God because he showed up, and they're talking about, what a fractious meeting between him and Zelenskyy, and the Pope would be so pleased. Sit down somewhere, honey. They act like Trump really did something. The man got there and fell asleep. He didn't even have the decency to wear an all-black suit like everyone else, okay? They want to sit there and praise Trump, honey, with his nefarious self. Now, let's continue, because we got to talk about how he's just putting a dent in education in the United States. In fact, he's really destroying education, okay, as far as I'm concerned. Now, China Johnson says prophecy has to be played out. There will be famine, diseases, and destruction. This system has to be destroyed. It doesn't matter who's in office. The system has to fall. Well, it definitely has to, because this is Babylon, okay? Babylon is going to fall. That is a fact. And you're right. Prophecy will be played out. And for those of you who follow the spiritual channel, if you didn't see the very thorough video that I did about that about a year and a half ago, maybe, about the true meaning of the four horses of the apocalypse, okay? Where I talk about all of that, the famine, the disease, the destruction, all of that. Okay, so please make sure you check that out. And by the way, we will be on the spiritual channel today. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's talk about what this man is doing. Okay, because Trump has lost his mind, and I'm not even joking. Let's talk about it. Because as I told you all, he was already having this beef with Harvard about their funding, and he really wants them to cut out DEI. He wants them to tell him, these colleges, mind you. Now, he wants these colleges to tell him about any federal, or I'm sorry, not federal, but any foreign sources that they're getting money from. He wants to know about, if they're how their process is of enrolling people. He doesn't want anything to do with DEI. And that's interesting because his whole cabinet is just ridiculously obtuse. And he doesn't seem to think so. Make it all make sense. Okay, so with that all being said, let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Trump signs executive orders targeting colleges. Okay, so first I'm going to go to this news report, and then I'm going to go over the executive order.
On education. One order targets the federal government's process for deciding what colleges and universities can access billions of dollars in federal student loans and Pell Grants, which go to poorer students. It also directs the U.S. Attorney General and Secretary of Education to investigate unlawful discrimination by higher education institutions. The president also signed an executive order aimed at bringing artificial intelligence into K through 12 schools.
Donald Trump just
Okay, so you all heard that. Now my question
and
is,
he didn't do it because of Democrats. He didn't do it.
okay, now I find this all very interesting because my thing is, why does Trump think that he needs to be worried about what these colleges are teaching? See, he's trying to rewrite history completely. That's what he's trying to do. He only wants whatever he wants taught. And any college that goes against that, well, he doesn't want to give them any government funding. But here's the thing. Let me tell you all how slick Trump really thinks he is. Now, I'm going to pull up this executive order, and I want you all to see and hear this because it's all nefarious, I promise you. But Trump thinks that he's slick because what he's trying to do is pull a stunt where he can go through a loophole to try to do exactly what he's up to. Okay, please pay attention. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. This is about reforming accreditation to strengthen higher education. Let's get into it. Now, I want you all to pay attention because, like I said, Trump is trying to be real slick. What he's doing here, he's really found a loophole, so to speak. Okay, now here's what they say. By the authority vested in me as president of the Constitution, president of the Constitution, a constitution he cares nothing about and doesn't even abide by. Okay, and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Okay, so number one, purpose. A group of higher education accreditors are the gatekeepers that decide which colleges and universities American students can spend the more than $100 billion in federal student loans and Pell Grants dispersed each year. The accreditor's job is to determine which institutions provide a quality education and therefore merit accreditation. Now, unfortunately, accreditors have not only failed in this responsibility to students, families, and American taxpayers, but they have also abused their enormous authority, he says. Now, I want you all to pay attention because he's saying all this for a very sneaky reason. Now, accreditors routinely approve institutions that are low quality by the most important measures. The national 6-year undergraduate graduation rate was an alarming 64% in 2020. Further, many accredited institutions offer undergraduate and graduate programs with a negative return on investment. Almost 25% of bachelor's degrees and more than 40% of master's degrees, which may leave students financially worse off and in enormous debt by charging them exorbitant sums for a degree with very modest earnings potential. Notwithstanding this slide in graduation rates and graduates' performance in the labor market, the spike in debt obligations in relation to expected earnings and repayment rates on student loans, accreditors have remained improperly focused on compelling adoption of discriminatory ideology rather than on student outcomes. Some accreditors make the adoption of unlawfully discriminatory practices a formal standard of accreditation. Okay, please pay attention to this part. And therefore, a condition of assessing federal aid through diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI-based standards of accreditation that require institutions to share results on diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, in the context of their mission by considering demographics and resource allocation. Accreditors have also abused their governance standards to intrude on state and local authority. So I'm not going to read all of this, but what I want you to know is, oh, hold on, let me read this part. The American Bar Association's Council of the Section of Legal Education and Administrations to the Bar, which is the sole federally recognized accreditor for Juris Doctorate programs, has required law schools to demonstrate by concrete action a commitment to diversity and inclusion including by committing to having a student body and faculty that is diverse with respect to gender, race, and ethnicity. As the Attorney General has concluded and informed the council, the discriminatory requirement blatantly violates the Supreme Court's decision in Student for Affairs Admissions, Inc., the President and Fellows of Harvard College. Okay, though the council subsequently suspended its enforcement while it considers proposed revisions, this standard and similar unlawful mandates must be permanently eradicated. Now, I want you all to pay attention to what the devil just said. Okay, do you all understand what is being said here? Well, let me explain it to you, because here's the thing. Trump is the very devil himself. I'm convinced. Okay, because what he's doing is he's found a roundabout way to pretty much cut off financial aid. Now, he's not going to just cut it off and say nobody can get financial aid to go to college. He's not going to just say nobody can get Pell Grants. You know, he's not going to say, oh, do away with the Hope Scholarship. But what this devil is doing is he's going after the accreditors. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. He's saying they need to be eradicated. He's saying that the accreditors have abused their authority. He's saying they're the ones that get to decide who goes to these colleges and who gets the federal assistance for going to college. They get to decide who they are. And most of them, well, they want people, you know, to be involved, want the colleges to give it to people who want the colleges to be involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we've got to get rid of that. This is wokeness. This is too woke. We can't have woke ideology being taught at these universities. And if these accreditors are going to be doing this and making this, you know, making the qualifications for the students they choose, or the selections for the students based off of diversity, equity, and inclusion, that's how they're going to determine who's getting this money. Well, we can't have them doing that. So basically, nobody gets the money. Is that what he's trying to do? Well, yeah, of course that's what he's trying to do. Okay, so please pay attention, because at the end of the day, he's really, in my opinion, trying to minimize what these people do. Okay, he's really trying to minimize what the accreditors do. Because first off, here's the thing. The government is not responsible for accrediting these colleges. There's a board, okay? There's governing boards that focus on accreditation. Now, there's two types of accreditation, okay? And that's nationally and regionally, okay? These colleges must be regionally or nationally accredited to be eligible to receive any federal funding. And I know all about this because I have helped one of my friends who was a chairperson, okay, at a college. She was a chairperson of the criminal justice department, okay? And so I was helping her some years ago to get them regionally accredited, okay, because they were only nationally accredited, and they basically needed both, because if you go to a college that isn't nationally and regionally accredited, you may not be able to go to graduate school, okay? If you go to undergrad at a college, for example, and they don't have both accreditations, then you go to apply for medical school, well, you may not be able to get in. Okay, because, you know, it's very important for these colleges to be accredited, because this is how they determine whether or not their professors, you know, are up to par, whether the professors who are instructors there are qualified, whether the college itself is qualified. Okay, I mean, the accreditation basically ensures that the institution meets certain standards that are required for Title IV eligibility. Okay, with that all being said. And that's basically the section that pertains to the Higher Education Act, which is what governs federal student aid. Okay, so please pay attention. What Trump is doing is very low down and nefarious. He's trying to deprive people of educations. Not saying, oh, I'm going to take away financial aid. See, he doesn't want to come out and say that, because it's a bad look, and people are going to go in on him, and it's going to be all over the media. So he's trying to do it, like I said, in a roundabout way. Oh, we won't attack the federal aid itself, the financial aid. We'll just attack the accreditors, because they're the ones who determine how it's going to be dispersed and to whom. And these colleges, according to them, have to have DEI. And we don't want that. That needs to be eradicated. That's the word that he literally said. Okay, he is the devil, in fact. Okay. So please pay attention. Now, the Liaison Committee on Medical Education. Now, this is the only federal recognized body that accredits Doctor of Medicine degree programs. Okay, requires that an institution engage in ongoing systematic and focused recruitment and retention activities to achieve mission-appropriate diversity outcomes among its students. The Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education, which is the sole accreditor for both allopathic and osteopathic medical residencies and fellowship programs, similarly expects institutions to focus on implementing policies and procedures related to recruitment and retention of individuals underrepresented. That's people that are, live in disparaged or impoverished communities, people who don't have a lot of money. Okay. Retention of individuals underrepresented in medicine, including racial and ethnic minority individuals. The standards for training tomorrow's doctors should focus solely on providing the highest quality of care, and certainly not on requiring unlawful discrimination. Isn't that something? The devil is at the wheel driving us straight to hell, y'all. Are y'all paying attention? So what he's saying is we need to be worried about these doctors that are being hired. We need to worry about them being trained to be quality doctors who know what they're doing. We don't need to be sitting here worrying about them, being discrimination. So what he's doing now is he's essentially saying that if you hire people based off of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, he's saying that itself is discrimination. Are y'all listening? He's saying that DEI is discrimination, when in fact, DEI prevents discrimination. Are y'all hearing this? Trump is, in fact, the devil. Okay, please pay attention. Now, American students and taxpayers deserve better, and my administration will reform our dysfunctional accreditation system so that colleges and universities focus on delivering high-quality academic programs at a reasonable price. Federal recognition will not be provided to accreditors engaging in unlawful discrimination in violation of federal law. So they're not going to give money. Listen to this. Let me say this again. Federal recognition. Now, what is federal recognition? Well, that means that you have to be federally recognized, okay, in order to get the funding from the federal government, okay? So let me read this part again. American students and taxpayers deserve better. Now, he's trying to make this seem like they're doing something to hurt us, but it's not the truth. And my administration will reform our dysfunctional accreditation system. See, they're not attacking the colleges, so to speak. Well, they are, but he's, like I said, he's doing it in a roundabout way. So rather than just coming for the colleges and the financial aid, they're attacking the accreditation system, as so that the colleges and universities focus on delivering high quality academic programs at a reasonable price. Now, this is the part to listen to. Federal recognition will not be provided to accreditors engaging in unlawful discrimination and violation of federal law. So these accreditors, he's just not going to give them the money. So if he doesn't give them the money, the accrediting bodies, if he doesn't give them the money, well, then they can't give it to the colleges. Do y'all see how he's doing it? Do y'all see how the devil is working? Do y'all see how he done found him a loophole? Okay. That crazy bitch Eric said college admission rates are dropping anyway. No, it's not that they're dropping anyway. They might be dropping, but that doesn't have anything to do with his nefariousness, beloved. Because at the end of the day, whether it's dropping or not, there's still some people who want to go to college. There's still some people who have hopes and dreams and have their heart set on having a lucrative career in the choice of their own making. So they should be able to get financial aid regardless, even if the admission rate is dropping. Okay? And he's trying to keep people who look like me from getting higher educations. He's trying to keep people who are immigrants from getting higher educations. Okay? Jasmine said, Queen, Dump never went to college. Okay, exactly. So Juju B said, college is a scam. America is trash. I mean, you know, some people feel like it's a scam, but at the end of the day, if you have a college degree, you can get a better job than somebody who just dropped out of high school. In most cases, maybe not all. Okay. And here's the thing. The only thing about college that's a scam, in my opinion, is not the quality of the education you obtain, but the amount of money that they charge you for the education. I mean, I feel like we should be able to have a free education, okay, in the United States. This is supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, right? We should be able to have a free education, but they're not going to do that, okay, because they don't want people who look like me to be getting a free education. So with that all being said, this is problematic as far as I'm concerned, and Trump is just a hot mess. Now, with that all being said, let's go to talking about, let's talk about Ibrahim Traore. Let's talk about it. Because the Africans are not playing games, as I told you all the other day. And here's the thing. I wanted to tell you all this. So you know, I want y'all to pay attention, because remember how I told you all that there had been numerous assassination attempts on this man's life? In fact, 18 or 19 attempts. Okay, there was just a coup that was unsuccessful the other day. The thing is, when they did this, had this whole little plot, they basically had one of his bodyguards. They offered his bodyguard $5 million. Do y'all hear this? FBA Justice says, Black people, I ask, what will demon rats do about these policies if they regain power? That's a good question. What will they do? I don't know, but I tell you what, they better do more than talking and using a whole lot of symbolic gestures, okay? If they want people to vote for them so they can get back in there, because they're the reason that Trump's in there right now. They've been doing what they were supposed to do, and how they were supposed to do it, Trump would have never gotten in there, okay? That's my opinion. So with that all being said, now here's the thing. As I was saying about Ibrahim Traore, they offered his bodyguard $5 million to take him out, but instead the bodyguard told him what was going on. I want you all to pay attention. These people are so nefarious. Hold on. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. I'm going to share my screen.
A surprising event happened in Burkina Faso when one of President Ibrahim Traore's bodyguards was offered $5 million to help with a plan to kill him. Instead of going along with it, the young soldier told the president everything. President Ibrahim stayed calm and made a quiet plan. Without canceling his schedule, he and the soldier went straight to the sniper's hiding spot and personally caught the attacker. Instead of punishing them harshly, the president sent those behind the plot back to their country and decided to use the $5 million to build a center to help people change their lives. Speaking to the public, President Ibrahim said that killing him would not stop the progress of Burkina Faso and that he is being targeted because he wants a better future for his people. He warned that if anyone tries again, they will be punished by the people themselves. A surprising event happened in Burkina Faso when one of
Okay, y'all heard that. So they tried to hire the man's own bodyguard to take him out. How slick was that? And they offered him an amount of money that most people, or many people, shall I say, wouldn't turn down. Do you know how many people would gladly take somebody out for $5 million? Okay, shout out to the bodyguard, honey, who turned it in. Okay, who told the plot. But now let's go to Elon Musk. Okay, because Elon Musk is a liar who lies, just like his friend Trump. Okay, and Elon doesn't like Ibrahim Traore either. Yeah, this man is a problem for him too.
Ibrahim Traore, the young revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso, has introduced bold new land reforms that have caught the attention of both Elon Musk and the U.S. government. This comes after Elon Musk criticized the South African government for passing strict land reforms. He falsely accused a South African opposition leader of inciting violence against white farmers with the song "Kill the Boers," which was not the case. His reaction came amid tensions between South Africa and the U.S. over the land policies. Seeing this unfold, Traore took decisive action. He introduced reforms that make it illegal for foreigners, especially non-Burkinabe, to own land in Burkina Faso. This move is aimed at protecting the country's resources and ensuring that land remains in the hands of its own people. What do you think about these new reforms? Are they a step towards true independence, or will they create more challenges? Ibrahim Traore.
Okay, so y'all heard that, honey. This is why Elon is pressed, and while he was out there spreading that lie and false narrative about the Africans over there in South Africa taking the other people's lands. Okay, that's their land. All right, that's their land in the first place. All right, please pay attention. Now, shock waves have erupted in Africa. Okay, and this came out yesterday. Erupts in mass protest after Traore's latest assassination attempt. Honey, these people are mad. Pray all praises to the Most High, and I hope that the Most High keeps this man safe, because he is much needed.
Of ordinary citizens. Others, like Senegal's former president Macky Sall, have been accused of clinging to power or pandering to Western interests. Traore, by contrast, is a breath of fresh air. At 37, he is the world's second youngest head of state, a stark contrast to the continent's average leader age of 63. His youth, combined with his military background, gives him a relatability that older career politicians lack. He speaks the language of the streets, addressing the frustrations of a generation that has grown up under corrupt governance and economic stagnation. His actions, nationalizing mines, investing in agriculture, and rejecting Western aid, align with the Pan-Africanist ideals that have long inspired the continent's youth. Traore's authenticity sets him apart. While other leaders jet off to Western capitals to secure loans or beg for aid, Traore has called out this dependency, urging Africans to achieve self-sufficiency. His decision to align with Russia and Turkey, while controversial, is seen as a strategic move to diversify partnerships and reduce reliance on the West. Unlike leaders who pay lip service to Pan-Africanism, Traore lives it, forming the alliance of Sahel states to foster regional cooperation and collective security. Moreover, Traore's leadership style evokes memories of Burkina Faso's revolutionary hero, Thomas Sankara. Both men took power at 34, both were captains, and both championed radical reforms to empower their people. While Sankara's assassination cut his vision short, Traore's survival of multiple coup attempts has only strengthened his resolve and his legend. Africans celebrate him because he is not just a leader, he is a symbol of resistance, a living embodiment of the fight for dignity and independence. The protests planned for April 30th are more than a show of support for Traore. They are a declaration of Africa's awakening. Organizers across the continent and diaspora have been working tirelessly to coordinate this historic event. In Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, tens of thousands are expected to march to the presidential palace, waving Burkinabe and Russian flags in defiance of Western interference. In Nairobi, youth groups are planning a Traore solidarity walk to the US Embassy, demanding an end to AFRICOM's operations in Africa. In Johannesburg, the EFF is mobilizing its supporters for a mass rally, with banners proclaiming Africa for Africans. In the diaspora, the protests will be equally powerful. In London, African communities are organizing a march through Trafalgar Square, while in Paris, activists plan to gather outside the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs to protest France's role in destabilizing the Sahel. In the United States, Black American activists, inspired by Traore's stand against neo-colonialism, are planning demonstrations in Washington, D.C. and New York City. Africans in diaspora are protesting in support of Captain Ibrahim Traore and calling on all Africans abroad to stand with Burkina Faso, one ex-user proclaimed, sharing a video of a rally in Atlanta. These protests will not be mere gatherings. They will be a celebration of African unity and a
Okay, this is going to be a warning to the West. I want you all to pay attention, honey. Okay, I want you all to pay, and I will definitely be at the Atlanta rally. I want y'all to pay attention, honey. This is serious business, and it's all supposed to go down April the 30th. You see, at the end of the day, Trump and Macron are very upset because this young man is not letting them just come over and snatch up Africa's resources. Okay, and he's letting them know that he doesn't need or want their help. Africa needs to be independent and do for self without the aid of the West. Okay, now here, this next video is where Traore responds to U.S. General Langley, the raccoon, okay, aka House Ninja, who they have sent, okay, to come for him. I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go.
Has long been in a very complicated system. Most of you who are young like me, we were born into this system. But that's not what can allow Burkina to thrive. Because in this situation, there are only two cases. Either we accept to fight or we remain slaves forever. I told you once, there are those who are slaves in their minds. They can only serve their master. And those people try every time to manipulate you. You must advise each other. Because every situation can be exploited by these enemies of the nation to try to discourage you, to demotivate you. So you must advise each other and not pay attention to certain remarks, even on some media. Not everyone is obliged to be patriotic. You are the first patriots. You have decided to defend the homeland. There is nothing better than that. Those who want to support you, let them support you. Those who want to discourage you through writings, you must close your ears and move forward. As for those, we will fight them here. So we must remember something. Recently, there is a so-called NGO. It's not even an NGO. Because NGO stands for non-governmental organization. They are not non-governmental because they are funded by a federal budget, by a state. This so-called NGO produces reports claiming that the FDS and the VDP commit abuses. It went in here, it came out there. It's to tarnish your morale. It's to scare you, to prevent you from being able to fight. No. Moreover, we are going to file a complaint against this NGO because people need to understand something. What is happening to us here? It's true that they have manipulated part of our populations in the Sahel here, but they didn't have that kind of weaponry. What brought such significant weaponry into their ranks? It's Libya. Who destroyed Libya? It's this NGO, the same NGO that made false reports and gave them to those who wanted to create a rebellion so that people would intervene and overthrow Gaddafi. And the powder keg ended up being poured into the Sahel. These millions of lives that have been taken in the Sahel.
And who was one of the main people, okay, that had something to do with his demise? Okay, we all know that it was Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Barack gave the okay to Hillary to give the okay to NATO. Okay, please pay attention. All right, and that's why they took him out and then stole all the gold. Because where did that gold go? 144 tons. There was literally a video that I saw of U.S. soldiers shoving the gold bars down their pockets and everything. I'm not even lying. Okay, not even lying.
We must file a complaint against this NGO because it is responsible for these false reports it made to support this thesis of attacking Libya. They have no moral lessons to give us. Look at the world. Let them go defend human rights all over the world first before coming here. We are fortunate to have similar situations.
Y'all, I'm going to stop right there. This man is the bomb. Do y'all hear me? This man literally gives me goosebumps. This is a revolutionary here, honey, and nobody's telling me anything different. This is the man right here. Did y'all hear what he said? They are not giving us any moral, okay? Like they can't tell them nothing about morals. They're not giving us any moral lessons. If they want to defend humanity all over the world, go start everywhere else. But don't come to Africa, at least not to Burkina Faso, okay? Unless y'all want the smoke, because the people are standing up. And that's what I'm talking about. All right? That's what I'm talking about. And then here's what some fool said. Some haters said online days ago, I meant to tell you all this. Some haters said that if Ibrahim Traore doesn't like France, why does he speak French? Why does he speak French? How dumb are they? The man speaks multiple languages, for one, but for two, somebody replied to them and said, why do African Americans speak English? Okay, please make it all make sense. So he has to like France if he's speaking French. Honey, America ain't never loved us, but we speak English, all right? Because that's what they taught our ancestors and took away, stripped them of their real indigenous languages. Okay, please pay attention, honey. But let's talk about Trump's low down and dirty self. All right? I mean, could he get any worse? Okay, because here's what this devil is up to now. Oh, honey, let me tell y'all something. Hold on. Let me pull up this receipt. So here's what Trump has done. And Gwendolyn, shout out to Gwendolyn Mays for sending me this. Trump administration, honey, begins removal of Black resistance artifacts from the Smithsonian. Did you all know this? This is what the devil is up to. Trump administration officials have begun the removal of historic artifacts of the National Museum of African American History and Culture, known as the NMAAHC. Okay, so according to Black Press USA, the process is starting with key displays that are tied to the civil rights movement, honey, because why do y'all need civil rights? Trump don't want y'all to have that. Let's take them back to Jim Crow, Elon. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. Now, the first exhibit dismantled is the 1960 Woolworth's lunch counter sit-in display, a recreation that highlighted the defiant stand of four Black students from North Carolina A&T University. On February the 1st of 1960, the students refused to leave the segregated lunch counter after being denied service, a move that helped send a wave of sit-ins across the South and became a flashpoint in the national civil rights movement. That low-down, dirty devil is trying to get rid of our history. Okay? I want y'all to pay attention. I want y'all to pay attention, but here's the thing. Trump don't want us talking about Black history. That's okay, Trump. That's all fine and dandy. At the end of the day, you don't want us talking about Black history. So guess what we'll do? We'll just talk about white history, American history. Okay, that's what we'll do. Okay, please pay attention. Now, hold on. FBI justice says all lies and treachery are being exposed in real time, it seems. I hope that Africa is able to hold their own because these types of things won't stop. You are absolutely right, beloved. And I hope they hold their own too, because this is the only way that these things will stop. Okay, it's for them to have a whole revolution at the end of the day and take back what's been stolen from them and put down their foot and get rid of these nefarious, corrupt African leaders who continuously take bribes and all sorts of things to throw their own people under the bus and keep Africa oppressed by the West and other foreign lands. Now, FBI justice also says them folks are being told straight to their faces the colonization days are over. Absolutely. They're not playing any games. Okay, they are not playing any games with these people. All right, thank you for your insight into the topic, beloved, and your contributions to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. I appreciate you. Sweet D said, keep bringing the smoke, Queen. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you, and thank you for your kind words and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, so here's what they go on to say. North Carolina Representative Alma Adams criticized the decision, telling Black Press USA that it represents a pattern of distraction by the former president. saying this president is a master of distraction and is destroying what it took 250 years to build. Here's another distraction in his quest for attention, another failure of his first 100 days. Now, Adams emphasized that removing physical exhibits will not erase the history they represent. We're all long past the time when you can erase history, anyone's history. You can take down exhibits, close buildings, take down websites, ban books, and try to change history, but we are long past that point. We will never forget. Y'all heard that, right? Y'all heard that? Yeah, we won't ever forget, no matter how they try to hide it. You see, they talk about the Holocaust that happened over in Germany, but they don't talk about the one that happened in the Congo when Leopold II from Belgium took the lives of 11 million Africans. They won't talk about the concentration camps that they had in the United States, where they housed the Japanese at some point and black folk. It's called the Devil's Punch Bowl, because when those black folk died, did y'all know that they literally have a place known as the Devil's Punch Bowl, where they stored all these bodies, okay, of black people, okay, at the end of the day, but they don't want to give us reparations. Now, mind you, they gave it to the Japanese for putting them in those internment camps or concentration camps, okay? But they didn't give anything to us, and nor will they ever, because these devils don't ever want to admit the low down, nefarious things that they did to us. You see, giving us payment for it, it's compensation. It's admitting that they did wrong, and they want to right that wrong, but they don't want to ever do that, okay? They don't ever want to do that. And it's just so crazy to me, okay? Please pay attention. Please pay attention. And let me just tell you all, let me give you all a brief, let me just, if I may, since we're talking about this, let me give you all a brief history lesson for just a second, okay, for about 5 minutes. Let me just talk to you all about this so you can tell your kids and they can tell their kids, okay, at the end of the day, and you can tell your grandkids about the Devil's Punch Bowl. So down in the foothills of Mississippi, okay, the trees grow heavy with uneaten peaches. Right now, there's tales of the haunted ground of the Devil's Punch Bowl that's been going on for decades, okay? From pirates to planes crashing and all sorts of things. While the lands may not be filled with treasure, of course, they're haunted by the history of genocide, terror, and horror, a past filled and fueled with hatred for Black Americans that shouldn't be ignored. But they want to ignore it. They don't want to ever take accountability. That's why they don't want to give us reparations, okay? They don't want to give us any sort of recompense. But the African American Registry on December the 13th of 2020 asserted that the Devil's Punch Bowl massacre took place in Natchez, Mississippi in the 1860s. Now, mind you, this camp was located at the bottom of the cavernous pit, okay? Cavernous pit with trees located on the bluffs, all right? Now, mind you, there was at least 20,000 people enslaved, 20,000 Black Americans placed in a concentration camp and later murdered. Do y'all know about this? Have y'all heard anything about this? Does any people get in trouble for talking down on us? No, they don't. You can say whatever you want to say negatively about African Americans, or Black Americans, FBA, whatever you want to call yourself. They can say whatever they want to say about us. Okay, that's what they can do. And they will not talk about what happened to us in this country. Our ancestors were put in concentration camps. And why is it that most of the young people don't know anything about this part of their history? Now, unfortunately, this story, like so many others, have been drowned beneath a ravine filled with pain and suffering. That's why people don't know about it. You see, the United States is deep-rooted, okay? They have a deep-rooted history of racially motivated massacres. What have I told you all? I have told you all that every race massacre in the United States started because of people being jealous of Black business owners who had lucrative businesses where they were thriving, and the Black folk were keeping all their money in their own community. That's why it started. I even told you specifically about the one here in Atlanta, okay, in the Sweet Auburn district, where there was a man by the name of Charles Mosley who had a bar, a tavern, where people could come, excuse me, and they could have his signature drink, and they could sit down and listen on the radio to the baseball game. And the people who didn't look like him got mad and jealous because they had bars and taverns too, but they weren't making the money that Charles Mosley was making. So what did they do? Well, you know the rest. They started a race war like they always do. Same thing in Rosewood, Tulsa, and on and on and on. Okay, Detroit, Chicago, all of these race riots, 9 times out of 10, started because they were hating on Black business owners. And then Trump thinks that we don't mind. He thinks we're going to be upset if they send us back to segregation. Well, let's get to packing. Let's go. Because then we'll be thriving again. We'll keep our money in our own community. That's what we'll do. We'll be able to mind our own businesses and walk into buildings without somebody stopping us and asking for our slave papers. Oh, I'm sorry. They don't call it slave papers in 2025. They want your ID. But it's the same thing because they want you to tell them who the hell you are and why you have cause to be where you're at. Just like they did your ancestors during slavery. You see, not much has really changed except the date. But let me continue. Okay, so with that all being said, like I was telling you all, June 21st of 2021, okay, this is when the United States, or all of this deep-rooted racial history and divide and all these massacres, okay, that the United States has frequently denied, mind you, okay, and they went undocumented. Okay, they went undocumented. Now, this was all explained in an article that came out June 21st of 2021. Okay, they talked about how we need to understand America's history of hiding Black massacres. And they said, let's start with the one down there in Mississippi, okay, with the Devil's Punch Bowl. All right, so I want you all to pay attention. And to quote James Baldwin, okay, you all know who James Baldwin is. As a matter of fact, as my entry comes on, one of my entries with me rapping on it, I have James Baldwin on there. Okay, he's one of my favorite activists from his time. But back in 1963, he said, American history is longer, larger, more various, and more terrible than anything anyone else has ever said about it. Okay? More nefarious than anything anybody has ever said about it, basically. All right. So anyway, with that all being said, honey, I'm done telling y'all about the Devil's Punch Bowl. I just wanted to make sure y'all got that. But let's continue. So now they say, at the same time, there are many who remain unaware of specifics in our history due to their own circumstances. Many grew up without learning true details of American history in regards to the mistreatment of Black and African Americans. How unfortunate to continue this wave of ugliness towards the very hands that built this country. And you see, because of the things that Trump is trying to do, his nefarious, corrupt, rogue administration, this is exactly why we should always be teaching our kids and grandkids and so on and so forth about the truth of our history, about the truth of their history, about the truth of American history. Okay, they've even been lying in some of the school books by McGraw-Hill. They were calling slaves workers and acting as though the slaves, teaching this now, pay attention, teaching that the slaves voluntarily came here so that they could work for free, so that they could get a free trip to America, trying to almost liken them to the indigenous servitude of the Irish. Mind you, when you bring up slavery to people who don't look like me, they'll sometimes throw in the Irish and try to pretend they were slaves. They were never slaves. Okay, they were indentured servants, and there's a big difference because here's why. Indentured servants got to keep their wives and children. They got to keep the families together. Okay, they only worked for a period of for a certain period of time, like 7 years, and then they were freed. Whereas slavery was forever. There was people that was born into slavery. They never saw a day of freedom in their lives. They were born and died in slavery. See the difference? And they didn't get to keep their own name. They had to be called what the master's name was. They didn't get to keep their own language. They had to be forced to talk English. Okay? So how can they compare the two? These people weren't lynched. Their pregnant wives didn't have the babies cut out of their stomachs and stomped. All the nefarious things that happened to the people who look like me didn't happen to them. And here's another thing too. They weren't even continuously discriminated against afterwards, because once they migrated back into regular society after they had finished their indentured servitude, well, they had the same skin as the other people. So all they had to do was change their last names and they blend right on into society. Because why? Because they look like the rest of the status quo. But people who look like me could never do that. We're always going to be viewed as the people who were formerly slaves in America. The people who came from slaves in America. We can't walk out into society and just blend in casually with the status quo. That's what we can't do, okay? So please pay attention. Anyway, with that all being said, this is all so crazy. Now, mind you, they say in addition to dismantling exhibits, museum officials have begun returning loaned artifacts to private owners. Black Press USA reports that civil rights leader Dr. Amos Brown, pastor of San Francisco's Third Baptist Church, learned via email on April the 10th and 15th of 2025 that 2 items that he loaned to the museum would be returned. His father's Bible and a historic copy of George W. Williams's History of the Negro Race in America, written or between 1618 to 1880. Okay, now an excerpt from the museum's communication to Dr. Brown reads as follows. I wanted to alert you that the National Museum of African American History and Culture will be returning your Bible and book that we borrowed for our exhibition, Segregation. Now, mind you, both artifacts have been on display at the museum since its opening in 2016. Dr. Brown expressed disappointment over the removal, emphasizing the importance of the materials to the civil rights movement. But saying those 2 books and the summary of my civil rights activism and my picture right there next to Medgar Evers, John Lewis, and Fred Shuttlesworth in the Desegregation of Civil Rights exhibit, that book inspired me before there were even African studies published. This is what Brown told the Black Press USA. He says, the Bible, that's my father's Bible, and the Bible I used in the civil rights movement. When we went on demonstrations, we always had a Bible. Well, you won't have to keep it in the museum now, honey, because Trump's going to make sure that's no longer a thing. It's enough to really get you angry. Museums are also a safe way to make sure materials are protected. Though one could argue that Dr. Brown could still be able to share his piece of Black history, who is to say that he has the proper storage or reach to share with all walks of life? Okay? So legal and policy changes are also underway. Now, according to the Black Press USA, the administration's effort is being guided by attorney Lindsay Halligan, who reportedly worked with Vice President J.D. Vance to remove improper ideology from Smithsonian properties, okay? Halligan told the Washington Post that exhibits focusing heavily on negative aspects of American history, well, those happen to weaponize history and risk creating further division. So we don't need to talk about all of that, because if we remind them of how we've been so low down and nefarious to them and how they're never going to get any compensation for it, and keep letting them remember all the things that continue to happen even after Jim Crow, well, that's just going to be more divisive. So let's not talk about any of it, okay? That's what they're saying. We don't need to overemphasize the negative to teach people that certain aspects of our nation's history may have been bad. That's what Halligan said. That overemphasis just makes us grow further and further apart, okay? And we don't want to do that, do we? That's what he said, or she. I don't know if it's a male or female. Now, the removal of such artifacts as an attempt to reshape public memory around America's struggles with race and equality is truly disgusting. We deserve the right to know our history, but how is the administration even allowed to do something like this? Is this not unconstitutional? How is one even able to change things that we can't control? Why are these Project 2025 moves so directly targeting Black folks, Trump? Okay, you know, this is really just another shameful sign of where the Trump administration is leading this country. All right, please pay attention. This is all nefarious at the end of the day. But now, for a moment before we roll out of here, I'm about to conclude the broadcast in a second. Hold on. Rashid says, did you vote for Trump? If not, sit down, drink some tea, and relax. Okay, that's what I'm going to do, honey, because I sure didn't vote for his arse. Thank you, Nicole, for your super sticker donation, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. I appreciate you. Okay, thanks to everybody for donating. Now, with that all being said, now before I conclude the broadcast, let's go to this General Michael Langley with his nefarious self. Okay, let's go to General Michael Langley, because this is the man who they're sending after Ibrahim Traore. See him right here? Isn't it something how they always get one of us that get somebody, one of us to take out one of us or to go against one of us? General Michael E. Langley, U.S. Marine Corps, became the 6th commander of U.S. Africa Command in August of 2022, headquartered in Stuttgart, Germany. U.S. Africa Command is one of 7 Joint Service Geographic Combatant Commands and is responsible for all U.S. military operations and activities to protect and advance U.S. national interests in Africa. Okay, please pay attention. A native of Shreveport, Louisiana, Langley graduated from the University of Texas at Arlington and commissioned in 1985. He commanded at every level from platoon to regiment, including Battery K, 5th Battalion, 11th Marines, in support of Operation Wildfire in the U.S. Battalion. Okay, so with that all been said, there you have it. That's who this man is, okay? He's a person who looks like me, but going after somebody who's trying to protect and defend his people and stand up against the West and others who want to try to just come and rob them and rip them of their minerals, their resources and all of that. Okay? So with that all been said, I'm going to conclude the broadcast. I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the broadcast. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And also, please double check to make sure that you're still subscribed, because sometimes people unfortunately get unsubscribed from the channel. Okay, with that all been said, I'll be back later, probably around 6 or 6:30. Okay, so make sure you keep your notifications on. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got